to Refuge. My name is Nicole. I am one of the pastors here. And first, you're probably thinking, why is Nicole all dressed up? You know, and I'm trying to start an initiative where we dress up for church. No, I'm just kidding. I would never, not in a million years. One night I wore ripped jeans and then went to dinner with my sister afterwards, and she's like, "They let you wear ripped jeans?" And I was like, "I'm in charge, so I get to wear ripped jeans." But the other thing you're probably thinking is like, "Oh my God, she's showing another Friends clip." Yes, I get it. And to be honest with you, my brain is half Bible and Jesus, and the other half is Friends quotes. For like all of my 20s, I could not have a conversation without throwing some random Friends quotes in there. And until I update the Refuge videos, this is what you get. So get used to it. But every clip, every week I share a clip, it does have a purpose from Barbie, Kung Fu Panda, and especially Friends. And so you often might get confused at what kind of spiritual truth I can glean from Joey going commando. And it's always wear underwear. And that's the message tonight, is to honor the Lord and always wear underwear. Some of you are like, no, I'm not doing it. But the clip I forced you to watch tonight is I know I ask this every time, but Friends fans, anybody love Friends so much? And the clip I shared with you tonight is from season 3, episode 2, and it's called "The One Where No One's Ready." And I share this tonight because this is one of the series' most iconic bottle episodes. And if you don't know what a bottle episode is, I'll go through it really quickly. A bottle episode, it is when episode of a show, it takes place in one location. For the clip I showed tonight for Friends, it is Monica and Rachel's apartment. They don't go anywhere else except their apartment. In this bottle episode, all 6 characters interact and have some kind of dialogue with one another throughout the episode. And it's simple, it's funny, it's character-driven, and we get to see a lot of character work. We see a lot of character development. We get one of the most famous quotes from the show, "Could I be wearing any more clothes?" Second only to, "We were on a break." Am I right? Like, those two you hear those and you just think of Friends. So why do networks, why do TV shows, why do they do bottle episodes? Well, Friends did not invent this concept. Networks and shows have done it a lot. And if you've ever, could you shut that door? Thank you. If you've ever watched your favorite TV show and there's a random episode that makes little to no sense, it seems like it's just plopped in the middle of the series, that's probably their bottle episode. So why do they do it? They do it for character development. In this episode of Friends, we get to see more layers of the Friends' personalities than if you're like me and you've watched from season 1, episode 1. You know that season 3 is where they really kind of settle into who they become as characters. And it's a lot has to do with bottle episodes like this. It resets and refocused. This episode helped reset and refocus the audience and reintroduce the audience to the Friends, to the cast. Now, if you watched TV shows in the 90s, you know that from finale to premiere, there were like 4.5 months, and you can forget a lot in 4.5 months, so they take opportunity to do episodes like this to reintroduce the characters, give them some development to grow. And the biggest reason, one of the main reasons that networks and things will do bottle episodes is because of money, because it's cost effective, if you can believe it. So whether you like Friends or not, whether you think it's overrated, you're wrong. But it was popular. It was a popular show. And by season 3, the cast of Friends were making $75,000 an episode. So just for this episode alone, just to pay the actors, was $450,000. So if you times that by 24, that's how many episodes are in a season, that's $10.8 million just to pay the salaries of the actors. So doing a bottle episode where they don't have to pay guest stars, or they don't have to build extra sets, or they don't have to invest in anything on location, this is a cost-effective way. If you think just spending $450,000 is cost-effective, you can give online at Refuge.Church So they did it to conserve resources. Bottle episodes, they served a purpose. They're simple, easy, they're reflective. They support growth, sustainability, rest. It's a feel-good break from the stress of a plot line. And so tonight, Refuge is having our own bottle episode of sorts. We're going to refocus on our setting, focus on where we are as a church, where we are as a community, where we are personally, physically, and spiritually. Our character development, our growth together, reflecting on our personal challenges, reflecting on collective community challenges, offering help, asking for help, building relationship, and strengthening what remains, strengthening what we have as a church and a community. And it's simple: revisiting our core values, revisiting our culture, and how we can continue to build on those things moving forward. And then if you're really lucky, putting a nice pretty bow on it in about 23 minutes, because that's about how long Friends episodes are. But I don't think you're that lucky tonight. Refuge setting. Obviously, one of the big ones is Refuge is a small church. And if you've been around long enough, if you've taken the time to go watch our culture series on the website, you know that this is intentional. Refuge is a small church. And it's easy to get bummed out at small numbers, especially when you're preaching to a room that doesn't look all the way full. But lucky for you, I think I'm funny and my ego fills the room. So I preach like it's full. Anyways, but it's easy to get bummed out at small numbers, especially when, for me personally, I grew up being told that I'm going to do big things for God. At youth camps, at conferences, it was always, you're going to do big things for God. And so I would dream big. I wanted to speak at conferences and youth camps. I wanted to write a book and travel around the world speaking at these massive conferences in front of thousands and thousands of people. But I had to ask myself, because obviously none of that has ever happened, I had to ask myself, is my desire to do something big for God, or do I just have a desire to not be small? Do I really want to do things for God, or do I want to be big and not stay small? Jesus said in Matthew 10:29, if your first concern is to look after yourself, you will never find yourself. But if you forget about yourself and you look to me, you'll find both yourself and me. Jesus gives us the formula to be successful. Jesus gives us the formula of how to operate. And it's to lose yourself, find yourself. Be small and you'll achieve greatness. Be faithful and you will be successful. And I've always wanted to live a significant life, have a significant ministry, do significant things, and to prove my worth as a pastor, as a minister. But is my desire for greatness for God, did that become my idol? And is making myself big simply making myself big so I don't remain small? A smart dude and an author and a scholar named Chad Bird, he tweeted once, he said, God has small plans for you. He's working something little in your life, and it may bore you, even hurt. It will be totally unawesome. Cool, right? Like, totally unawesome. Yet tucked in that brown paper bag of simplicity of life, God will be at work. Hidden in his opposite, camouflaged in the colors of a secret sanctity. Small plans. What the heck, right? What God's going to do something big through me, but God has small plans for me. And a lot of this is taken from Brian's message on a small church. But he has a point when he says Jesus was all about small. He was born in a small town. He had a small circle of friends, no more than 12, which is like a good number for friends. He taught of a small mustard seed-sized faith. He told us to be like small little children. He honored smallness. He desired smallness. He valued smallness. And in Mark 12, he was sitting across from the offering box, and Jesus observed how the crowd tossed money in for collection. Many of the rich were making large contributions, and one poor widow came up and put in 2 small coins, a measly 2 cents. Jesus called his disciples over and said, I tell you the truth, is that this poor widow gave more to the collection than all the others put together. All the others gave what they will never miss, and she gave extravagantly what she could not afford. She gave her all. She gave everything. She likely believed that the God she was given to, the God that she worshiped in this temple, had taken her husband. That was just kind of a belief system they had back then. So she's believing this, yet she's offering everything that she has left. And a widow then and a widow today are two different things. When a woman was widowed then, lost a husband, didn't have a son, there was no man in her family to take over her care. She literally had nothing left. But she gave everything she had. And Jesus was unimpressed with the loud, noisy gifts of people giving out of their excess. And he saw value in the smallness of this all-in sacrifice from this woman. She had nothing else to give. And it was how she gave, humbly, selflessly, small, that was more important than what she gave. Jesus never chased large crowds. Time and time again in Scripture, we see where Jesus is trying to run away from large crowds. Did you know that the Sermon on the Mount wasn't Jesus like, I'm going to plan to speak in a week and a half. Let's get the mountain reserved. Let's make sure there's plenty of rocks to sit on. He was sitting with his best friends talking, and because large crowds kept following Jesus around, they just got there, and he's like, well, since you're here, I got something to say. And he preached, but it started small. And he was in his 30s. And I think once you hit 30, you're definitely like, 12 is good. 12 is probably 11 more than I need, counting my spouse. So 12 is good. But Jesus met people in small, intimate moments. Small moments around dinner tables, around living rooms and campfires. Just being with people in small moments. And our smallness is not a weakness as long as we use it as a strength. My best friend is 4'8". Yeah, she's little. Love her to death. She is 4'8". But what she lacks in height, she makes up for in passion. There is nobody who gets feistier, nobody who gets more passionate about things than my best friend, and she is just this tall. And we can sit here and we can whine about small numbers. I get it. Being small sucks, especially when there are churches in this area who I know have hurt people, have abused people, have used people, have taken advantage of their volunteers, who have not truly loved the way Jesus has called us as Christians to love. And so it sucks to watch people leave our smallness to go to their multi-million-dollar buildings and services. And I can sit here and I can focus on everything that we are not. We're not big, we're not rich, we're not popular. But instead of focusing on everything that we're not, we need to turn our focus on faithfulness. Be focused on the gospel. Be focused on the fruit of love that we've been talking about, this sacrificial love, and putting the fruit of love on display. Luke 15, a very popular story, Jesus says, suppose you had 100 sheep and you lost one. Wouldn't you leave the 99 in the wilderness to go after the lost one until you found it? And when you found it, you can be sure you would put it across your shoulders, rejoicing. And when you got home, call in your friends and neighbors, saying, celebrate with me. I've found my lost sheep. Count on this. There is more joy in heaven over one sinner's rescued life than over 99 good people in no need of rescue. One lost sheep. One. That is a very small number. I'm not a mathematician, but I do know that is a very small number. And Jesus modeling for us in his ministry smallness, teaching that the large crowd of 99 altogether, they're good, they're okay. But if one of them is missing, if one of them is lost, if one of them is hurting, you go get that one. We are a small community of misfits. We are a safe, inclusive place for all people without conditions. And I think most of the people in this room at one point in time could say, I was the one that Refuge was here for. I believe Refuge saved my calling and my talents and my gifts because I had all but given up on finding a place where I could hold on to my love for Jesus, my love I think the other church is back there doing something. Holding on to those while also holding on to who I had come to know I was, to the person I was, and holding on to my faith and everything that I knew Jesus was. I belong here. You belong here in this small family of misfits. And I think at some point we could say, like I said, that I was the one Refuge was started for. One of my favorite Psalms is Psalm 46:10. It says, "Be still and know that I am God." And this isn't God saying, shut up, sit down, stop talking. I'm God. I'm in charge. So sit down and know it. In this moment, God is telling us to pause, to breathe. Know here. God is telling us when he says, know that I am God, he's saying, feel me, experience that I am God. Rest in my presence. Be still and know God. Be still and know that Refuge is a safe place where God is. And in our smallness, we find strength in knowing God and coming in and knowing God and being in his presence while also knowing others. Our character development is related to us being an organic church, focusing less on numerical growth and focusing on the growth of our spiritual and relational and our relationships, growing naturally, not forcing anything. Jesus took his time with ministry. He took his time with people. He took his time with his friends. He took his time with the people he was ministering to, and he let roots grow down deep. I'm kind of like a gardener now, and Justin's laughing because I'm constantly texting Jane, like, look at my plants. And I lost some plants in Milton, but the upside is I got to replace all the plants I lost. And I don't know if it's how just like simple-minded I can be sometimes, but I get amazed. So I lost some plants in Milton, and so I had to pull them out of the ground. And I still get amazed at pulling out a plant that's like this big, and the root system is like 3 times its size. Like I just stood there and held it, and I was like, babe, look at all these roots. It's crazy. They just toss it into the field. But this is the organic growth that we want at Refuge. The organic growth that happens is that the roots, they grow down deep and they look for what is life-giving. Small on the outside, small above ground, but underneath they are deep roots, deeply connected to all that is life-giving underground. And I love that we say we restore our faith in Jesus and we restore our faith in his church. Because we're not restoring our faith in doctrine or theology or even the Bible and the words on the page, but we're restoring our faith in people, restoring our faith in humanity. I am the church. You are the church. The church is people, imperfect, annoying people who have hurt people, who have let people down. And it's not Jesus people are running from, it's people are running from. Restoring our faith in Jesus and his church means restoring people's faith that there are good people, supportive people, people who have your back. Annika and I, we got married back in March. And as we were sending out wedding invitations and planning and getting ready for that day, she had an underlying fear that nobody was going to show up. Nobody was going to come to the wedding. I was like, we have all these people of RSVP, babe, they're going to come. She's like, well, what if something happens? And this fear, this anxiety was founded because people let her down. Elijah's first and second birthday parties, she went all in, planning, buying party favors, buying food, going all in. People are like, oh, yeah, we'll be there for sure. We'll bring this, that, and the other thing. 2 years in a row, nobody showed up. All of the people who said that they would show up did not show up. So we get to our wedding, the biggest day of our lives, and all these people are like, yeah, we'll be there. Yeah, we'll be there. She still had this underlying fear that nobody was coming. But we have found healing. She has found healing. My family has found healing in community and family and people. People who have our backs, people who show up for us, people who support us. It's been slow, it's been organic, but it has been steady. And this is the organic growth of Refuge. Roots down deep, growing into each other. And when we cultivate what we have, when we cultivate and strengthen what remains, we will grow and we will see success. Jesus said in Matthew 18, when two of you get together on anything at all on earth and make a prayer of it, my Father in heaven goes into action. And when 2 or 3 of you are together because of me, you can be sure that I will be there. 2 or 3. Marginally larger numbers than 1, telling us that God is present in the smallness. And we can celebrate our smallness by leaning into deep relationships with God and one another. In a good bottle episode, there has to be really good dialogue. There's nothing extra to draw people in. There's no guest stars. There's no on-site or on-location shooting. So there better be good dialogue. This Friends episode that I showed you tonight, it's comedic gold because the dialogue, the jokes, it's so funny. It allowed the characters to take, or the actors to take the characters deeper. We learned different new things about them, seeing different sides of them. And this is where we struggle. I'm just to be honest, and I say we as in like a general, like everybody at the whole world, but also specifically Refuge, is the depths of our relationships, is the deep dialogue and taking our relationships deeper and growing our roots down deep. Because when things go wrong, who do you call? When things go your way, who do you call? When you need to vent, you need a hug, when you're hurting, angry, sad, hungry, you're out of gas on the side of I-75, you're stressed out, you're happy, you're excited. Who do you call? Who do you text? Aside from your spouse, is that person in this room? And if that person is not in this room, or you don't even have that person, why? Have we compartmentalized our lives so much that Refuge is just where we go on Saturday for church, and it's not who we go to when we need people? One of the reasons that I'm preaching this and we're taking a break from the Acts of the Spirit series is because when Milton was coming at us, and he was all the way over there on the other side of the Gulf, and he was coming at us, and we were getting ready, I was calling people, texting people, just asking anybody if they needed help. And now nobody let me help them. I was like ready to go. I am like all 3 batteries to my drill were charged and ready to go. And like, look, I am a flannel wearing, drywall hanging, just stereotype of a human being. Like, let me do the work. But why don't we ask for help? Why don't we let people help us? Why don't we let people in? Why don't we talk about our joy and our excitement or our pain and our grief with the people in this room? And if you want a shallow church, I can do a shallow church. I got the recipe for it. I can make it look good. But a deep church is a church full of people who can lean on one another in all things, good, bad, ugly, happy, sad, angry, all of it. Paul says in Galatians to share each other's burdens and in this way obey the law of Christ. And I like how the Message is translated. It says, stoop down and reach out to those who are oppressed. Share their burdens and so complete God's law. If you think you are too good for that, you are badly deceived. And Hebrews 10 says, let us think of ways to motivate one another to acts of love, to acts of the Spirit, and to good works. And let us not neglect our meeting together as some people do, but encourage one another, especially now that the day of his return is drawing near. Hebrews 10 can be used a lot to shame people into not skipping church. Let us not neglect our meeting together. It means you need to be in church when they're open. But when this was written, this is not how they did church. It wasn't music and lights and stage and someone preaching. Meeting together when spoken here and written here was more about their fellowship, was more about their community, was more about their connections around the dinner tables or the living rooms. It was intentional community, supporting one another, being there for one another. It's not, hey, make sure you're attending church when you need to be. And it says, as some people do. It says, don't neglect our meeting together as some people do. And this isn't saying don't be like those sinful backsliders who can't make the time to come to church. It is the hurting, the broken, the needy that are withdrawing and pulling away from the life-giving community that is found in church. And we let them do it. We let them pull away. We let them walk away time and time again because we don't want to go deep. Going deep is hard. Going deep is difficult. And so the warning here in Hebrews is not don't skip church. It's don't withdraw from the life-giving community of your people. Why do we neglect meeting together? Why do we refuse help? Because asking for help makes us vulnerable. Needing help makes us feel vulnerable and weak. Sometimes shame is associated with asking for help. And a lot of times we don't ask for help because we've been hurt, forgotten, let down, neglected. And it's not that we're independent, we're just jaded. One person let us down, so they're all going to let us down. And so this is why we are a slow and a restful church, because healing and recovery take time. It's slow. Healing and recovery requires rest. Refuge, our name, literally means a place of shelter and protection and safety, a safe place that offers relief. Being able to ask for help, being able to receive help is a quality that is born out of healing. And this is a slow place, a safe place, a gentle place where people can heal. Jesus said in Matthew 11, are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me. Get away with me and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me and watch how I do it. And this is another reason why I'm doing a bottle episode tonight, is that I'm tired. After being closed all week for Milton, Elijah's school was closed this past Monday. It was needed. It was necessary. They've had some teachers, have some damage. The school didn't have internet, and they closed for valid reasons, but this little private school was not open. And after 9 days of being shut up in the house with every window that let in all the natural light covered, not being able to go outside because hurricane, no power. We moved from house to house to house. And my one day off, I was so excited. I even told Carla, I was like, I'm taking Monday off, and I'm not going to worry about nothing. And then we get an alert that his school is closed. Annika's going back to work, and my kid will now be home for the 10th day in a row. My introverted, I need time to myself and be alone so I can recover. Part of me cried. I cried. I sat in the TV room and I shut the door and I cried and I pulled it together. And it's not because it's not because I don't want to spend time with Elijah, and it's not that I don't love spending time with Elijah. It's just like I can only play Uno so many times before I want to burn the house down. But I'm an introvert, and that doesn't mean that I don't like being around people. It just means that I have to recharge my batteries so I can be around people by not being around people. And I hadn't been alone for 10 days. My wife, my kid, my mom, Milton, Fenway, all of us just shut up in a house with no sunshine coming in. I was in a tough place. So I was tired. And so as I sat down to prepare a message on self-control after screaming at my kid for going too much, I was like, I am not the person to talk about self-control this week. I needed to remind myself why I'm here because Refuge is a place where I found rest and community and help when I needed it. It's been a safe place where I've been able to explore and restore my faith in Jesus, to learn and grow, to become a better person and pastor, where my family has grown both emotionally and spiritually. And so I ask you tonight, why do you call Refuge home? Why is this the place that you come on Saturday night? Is it our values, our beliefs? Do you align with us theologically? Do you like small churches? Are we close? Are we close enough that you can drive? But let's be real. A big old factor in choosing a church is the pastor. Are they smart? Are they funny? Are they a good speaker? Check, check, check. Do they keep it under 30 minutes? No, she does not. But the pastor is a big reason why you choose a church. And our founding pastor, Brian Culbertson, after 8 very hard years of leading Refuge, is taking an extended sabbatical and has stepped away from leading the church. He stepped away from his role as leader of Refuge. And I've been working very closely with him for 2 years, knowing that this day was coming, that this was his goal. And after the board made an official vote, I am the senior pastor of Refuge.Church. Thank you. So I don't say that because I want you to applause, but you can if you want. I say it just to let you guys know that, I don't always know what the hell I'm doing all the time. Sometimes it's a day-to-day thing for me. And I don't know what the future holds for Refuge. I don't know what Refuge is going to look like in the next 1 month, 2 months, 1 year, 2 years. But I'm committed to doing everything I can to serve Jesus, to serve our community. And so tonight, this is how we're closing service with no song, no music, nothing extra, just friend to friend tonight. I want to say this, is that as your pastor, I commit to leading with a heart focused on Jesus and centered on love, honesty, and transparency. I will be faithful to Jesus and his church, striving not to lose sight of our calling as a church of misfits that is an open and a safe place to all people. I will celebrate our smallness as a gift, not a limitation, knowing that Jesus did things small, and that even in our smallness, he will grow something beautiful and lasting because of our deep-rooted commitment and our deep connections to one another. I will do my very best to nurture and grow deep, meaningful relationships within this community, seeking to know each of you personally and maintaining a culture where every voice is heard and every person is valued. I will make every effort to be present in joyful moments, be present in the challenging ones, offering patience, gentleness, kindness, and friendship. We are in this together, and my goal is to maintain a safe place where you can explore your faith, ask questions, be yourself, and grow. And so as we walk together, I will encourage each of you to grow deeper in your relationship with God, in your relationship with others, while also being committed to my own growth, constantly learning, seeking, and striving to become a better pastor, friend, and servant. I will continue to leave Refuge with a vision for love and inclusion, looking outward, welcoming those who may feel lost, marginalized, or unsure where they belong. This church will be a beacon of hope and healing, reaching beyond our walls to share the gospel of Jesus with all people. I will do my very best, and I can only promise one thing. I promise that I am a misfit. As I learn and grow with you, I will try to lead humbly, repenting when necessary, and continually aligning my leadership with God's small plan for Refuge. So will you pray for me as I close tonight and pray for our church? Father, we worship you tonight. We thank you for all that you are and all that you're doing. I pray that your hand would be on us as we continue to move forward, as we continue to be a safe place for all people, offering a refuge to those who have been hurt, abandoned, marginalized, and oppressed. I pray, Father, for success in our smallness, success in our faithfulness, and that you would work in us and through us to be a beacon of hope to our community. I pray that above all, you get all the glory and all the honor for everything that Refuge does. Would you be with us as we continue to learn and grow, as we continue to grow our relationships with one another, our relationship with you? And would you just be our counselor, guiding us every step of the way? We love you and we thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.